Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have to talk about Masters of the Universe. Now, look, I'm looking forward to this movie. I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant to look forward to something like this, but I don't see the downside. There's going to be humor in here. There was always some humor in He-Man, and there's going to be like exploitation of the ridiculousness, which I guess works for a property like this. At least it works for me, and I was a fan of the originals, and I had siblings who enjoyed them as well, so I've got some touchstones here. Maybe you do too. But the question is Rotten Tomatoes scoring the film at 78% a good sign or a bad sign? And does it mean that the film may or may not be fun? Let's talk about it. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I am trying to get to 50K. The powers that be are preventing that. YouTube has been nuking my videos for the most part and not showing them to as many people, and you can help with that right now. Double check you're still subscribed to the channel, and if not, click the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and turn on all notifications. Believe it or not, that simple step of getting all notifications turned on mean that you won't miss anything, but at the same time, it also indicates a higher level of interest. And if you hit the thumbs up button, you contribute to some intercommunication with the platform that increases the likelihood that you'll see my videos first each and every day on the feed. Also, if you wouldn't mind at the end of the video, and wait till the very end, because I really do want to hear your thoughts on your expectations for this film and whether or not you're going to go. That's really important to me. I really think this might be something to give a chance to, and that's something I would never say about a Jared Leto film ever, because he's just been so awful. But let's jump into the story coming to us from our friend Marvin Montanaro over there at That Park Place, which, again, I write for as well. Masters of the Universe gets 78% Rotten Tomatoes score from Hollywood critics. But is that actually a bad sign? You know what? That's a fair question, and Marvin asked it, so let's address it here in the body of the work. The first wave of reviews for Masters of the Universe has arrived, and the film is currently sitting with a respectable 78% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the question is, do you trust Rotten Tomatoes? I don't. I mean, I get it. I mean, a lot of people are, keenly interested in what the review score is going to be for this. I would point you towards something like Criticless. They have a YouTube presence, they have an application, and they have a website. And Blaine does a good job over there allowing you to enter your thoughts on any film. You can write a review, you can produce a video, you can do both things over there. And it's a good way to get involved in the aggregate, because that's what all these review sites kind of are. They're aggregators. They gather reviews from multiple sources, but at least on Criticless, it's just fans, people like me out there that are dropping reviews, giving you maybe video reviews as well. What you don't see on Rotten Tomatoes is fair treatment. You see professional critics that are access media types that are essentially there to shill for or against certain things. I'm surprised that this is getting the numbers that it's getting, but let's dive into why as the story continues. Under normal circumstances, that would be viewed as good news for Amazon MGM Studios and Mattel, of course, because they're involved in the property. A score comfortably in fresh territory suggests critics generally enjoyed what they saw. However, in today's entertainment landscape, many moviegoers have become increasingly skeptical of Hollywood critics' scores. That would include me. How about you? Let me know in the comments section below. Leading some fans to ask an unusual question, and one that I think Marvin already posed. Is a strong Rotten Tomatoes score from entertainment media actually a positive sign anymore? Well, I mean, the simple answer is I'm just going to be skeptical of it. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't in a long time, and mostly because they just kind of drip feed out whatever it is that they want the story to be, which is why Blandalorian and Grey Goose somehow got a C when it absolutely deserved a D or an F in terms of the popcorn score. I'm just going to say the critics score, they should have been lobbing tomatoes at Mandalorian and Grogu from the very beginning, and they just really aren't to be trusted. And that's a problem, especially since they control the speed at which the faucet actually releases the reviews. So they can control the, well, gradual descent or the ultimate success of films. Maybe they want to turn the tap slower because films are getting rave reviews. Maybe something like Project Hail Mary, or maybe in this case, Masters of the Universe. Let's jump in further into the story. Masters of the Universe starts strong with critics. According to Rotten Tomatoes, Masters of the Universe debuted with a 78% score from professional critics, earning a coveted fresh designation, as you can see here from Disgusting Film. And again, another site I don't really trust anymore. A lot of these people I don't trust anymore because they lie, and they're pushing messaging, and that's annoying. Now, several outlets praised the film's humor, action, and overall tone, which again is going to be a little irreverent. It's going to shade more towards the ridiculous, which is perfectly acceptable. We are talking about an entirely other group of humans on a different planet, and my assumption is they're humans, but technically not. And look, they even point fun at the HR department that Prince Adam ends up working at, which I think is strange. Regardless, IGN awarded the movie an 8 out of 10. That's higher than I would have expected. The reviewer Clint Gage wrote the Masters of the Universe was funnier than I expected, while praising a blend of fantasy adventure and comedy and calling He-Man a stupid name. Well, that's a problem. He-Man was the original name, so it's not stupid. It's the name of the property. And you're stupid, Clint, for saying something like that. On the surface, though, those reviews appear encouraging, yet many fans are no longer convinced that critical approval translates into audience satisfaction, and I could not agree more. Oftentimes you get a critical review that has no bearing on what the reality actually is of a regular moviegoer's experience. And that's because there is a giant gap, a gulf between what professional critics are looking for and what you and I are looking for, which is why I tend to be a little more critical of things that are really bad in relation to pop culture and society at large. And then I tend to be a little more loose when, again, the story allows for it, which, believe it or not, I think I gave The Blandalorian and Grey Goose a much higher score than it deserved because my initial reaction was at least they tried something. Although now, instead of earning a 7 of 10, it would be a 6 of 10, leaving it in, well, squarely in the D category with not a passing grade. Regardless, let's jump into the story once more. With critics and audiences have increasingly drifted apart, and that's probably the best part of this story, the actual analysis of what is the difference between us and them. Over the last decade, some of the largest, biggest success stories in entertainment have come from projects that critics initially dismissed. Super Mario Bros. Movie famously debuted with a Rotten Tomatoes score that left many journalists unimpressed, same with its sequel, Super Mario Galaxy Movie. Audience, however, turned out in massive numbers, helping the film become one of the biggest animated hits in history. Look at the score for Michael as an example right here. 40% from the critics, who we don't trust, to a 96% from people like you and I. Verified actual ratings from people like you and me, who are willing to share too much information with an entity that doesn't have our best interests in mind and would certainly sell us out for a nickel. Regardless, more recently, Michael received a cooler reception from critics than many supporters expected, yet audience enthusiasm helped propel the film to becoming one of the biggest films of the year. In fact, if it doesn't eclipse $1 billion, I'll be surprised, although it is going early to digital. Is certain groups of people just allergic to money? That's a good question. Tom Connors is definitely asking that one. But the reverse has happened as well. Films embraced by the entertainment journalists have frequently struggled to generate the same excitement among paying customers. Critics showered praise on projects like Ironheart and Cuties, but the audience famously hated these projects and called them out for what they were. People who aggressively preen others, which is a way to avoid saying the word that they don't like so much on the platform I'm talking on right now. So, some fans were already concerned about Masters of the Universe. Not me, but some. And the positive reviews also arrive against a backdrop of concerns that have followed the film for months. A number of longtime He-Man fans became uneasy after comments from members of the cast and creative team discussing themes such as toxic masculinity during promotional interviews. Let me tell you something right now. that's going to turn everybody off. And if that's something I see reflected in the film, if I see themes like that there, I'm going to be straightforward. I'm going to tell you the truth. I am going to see this film on Wednesday, and I will give you my complete thoughts on Thursday. I'm not going to shower this thing with praise if I don't find some value in it, and especially if it's got a bunch of leftist crazy people messaging that seems to be part of each and every project coming out of MGM Studios right now, including the Rings of Power, when we was Rangs, or whatever that thing is called. But for many fans, Masters of the Universe represents a classic fantasy adventure that's built around heroism, strength, courage, and the eternal battle between He-Man and Skeletor. Discussions of the modern social themes raised fears that the adaptation might prioritize contemporary messaging, over faithfully bringing Eternia to life. Well, yeah, and I was worried about that too, until recently, but now maybe those worries are rekindled. This is a good question. Marvin's writing a good article here. Take a look at just how much love Star Trek Starfleet Academy was given at a time when, well, the audience, who are the people you're trying to sell to, wildly walked away from it, even when it was free. I wonder why that happened. However, for viewers already skeptical of Hollywood's entertainment media, the enthusiastic response from critics is unlikely to ease those concerns. In some circles, it may actually intensify them, and believe it or not, I'm in one of those circles. I talk to these guys every single day, people like Marvin. I talk with the folks over at G&G. I talk with people in my own sphere regularly, Echo Base Network and many, many others. And I'm going to tell you, we all share the same fears. And it doesn't matter what country you're in, even the friends of mine that are in the UK or Japan or Spain or even Canada. Believe it or not, Canada still has some good, reasonable human beings in it. And of course, Mexico, which happens to be fairly close to where I am right now. But I'll say it this way. The audience score could tell a very different story, and that's likely what we'll see. It's possible, if this is too far separated from the reality that we're expecting, the fun-loving He-Man series itself that actually had moral ideals throughout. They gave us a story every week, something to grow from, right? Ultimately, the audience score is going to tell more than the critic score, which means if the film's not good, it's going to be low. Social media reactions to the 78% rating are already showing a mix of excitement and skepticism. Of course, there's an outright dismissal of Rotten Tomatoes, which I'm guilty of. I just did it live on this video. And some fans celebrated the score, but others were arguing that, critic reviews are altogether usually wrong and bad and not good for the movie. And that leaves Masters of the Universe facing the same challenge, confronting nearly every major franchise release in 2026. Can it connect with audiences? Well, your guess is as good as mine, and mine is as good as any. So I want to hear about it. Are you going to go see Masters of the Universe? And if so, when? And are you going to watch my review of it before you go to make your decision? Believe it or not, a lot of people tell me they wait for me to react to something, or one of the other people in my sphere to react to something before they go and see it. It saves them an awful lot of money and a lot of time, and time is valuable. We don't get any of it back, which is why I always get angry when a film wastes my time. And unfortunately, things like Barbie and other films wasted my time, and still a certain particular segment of the audience enjoyed it, which didn't make any sense to me, but that's fine. Will Masters of the Universe entertain us? I don't know. Let me know in the comments section below. I'm going to see it on Wednesday. I'm going to review it on Thursday. Are you going to watch that review again before you go to see it? Are you going to give your own review, maybe over on Critic List or something similar? And finally, is this just something that's not on your radar? Is this a film that you either didn't know was coming out or didn't care? Because that's valuable information as well. As always, sound off down in the comments section below, and be sure to take care of yourself. Take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Hopefully, at a good movie, whether it's Masters of the Universe or not.